What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Mindshare podcast. It is season 4. I'm your host, David Greenspan. And hey, additional podcasts are available at mindshare101.com and on all the major platforms. This week's episode is sponsored by Kit's Keep in Touch Systems and our friends over at the Buzz Conference. Now, be sure to follow the Buzz on Instagram at the Buzz Conference and give them a visit at www.thebuzzconference.com to keep up with everything they're up to, including these 2 upcoming events. Number 1, we have the Buzz Top Leaders Under 35 Summit taking place on September 29th at the Mississauga Grand in Toronto. And number 2, we've got Disruption, which is scheduled for January 12th, 2023. Be sure to get your tickets for both these awesome events. You can find these at www.thebuzzconference.com. We are proud to have the Buzz Conference as an ongoing sponsor of the Mindshare podcast. And of course, well, Kits is with us, and Kits is always with us. Kits Marketing is your full-on marketing tool set. This CRM provides you with a bulletproof keep-in-touch system, your contact list, your calendar, all of it's connected, as well as a complete suite of marketing tools, including a whole series of automation to simplify how you build that mind share so that you can get your market share. The fall market is in full swing right now. And if you want to spend less on marketing, you want to drive more leads, get more repeat business, more referral business, then you got to check out Kits by going to my site over at mindshare101.com/marketing. Again, when you get to the site, you can even just click on marketing up at the top right corner. You'll find out everything you need to know. Speaking of need to know, as you know, we are on a push to get to 100 reviews on iTunes. And I'd like to ask you, if you haven't yet, please take 2 minutes. Rate the show, leave a review, let us know how much you love it. We're making it super easy for you. All you have to do is go to ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. As always, thank you in advance. Today's episode is number 198. She's a globally recognized mindset and performance expert, best-selling author, and speaker, guiding iconic brands and high net worth professionals to add billions of additional sales volume annually through her unique approach of empowered leadership and expert mindset training. She was awarded with iconic leaders creating a better world for all. She's a 2-time best-selling author, top 1% life, shift from chaos to calm in your business and life, as well as Relentless to Rise, your path to personal expansion, which is her life story. And that inspired the full-length documentary, The Relentless One, directed by Emmy-winning director M. Douglas Silverstein. Joining me on this episode of the Mindshare podcast is my friend and the one and only Kathleen Black. Kathleen, welcome back to the Mindshare podcast.
Thanks, David. I always love being here and I always love chatting with you. So thank you so much for having me back.
Thank you for making the time. It's always good to see you, and it's always a pleasure chatting for sure. Now, we do know that we have put a hard stop. It's going to end on the hour, because if not, this could go on as a marathon, you know?
It's very true. We have so much to talk
first and
about,
foremost,
David.
We really do. And I wanted to start off by saying a big congratulations to you on the launch of your full-length documentary. I mean, what an honor that is.
Thank you. Yeah, you know what? It's exciting. It's surreal, terrifying. It's all the good things that happen when the universe gives you something big. So thank you. It's been quite an interesting ride so far, and it's not done. That's for sure.
Oh no, you're like, every time you're doing something, it's almost like you're crushing it, but you're just getting started. Because I always know there's just so much more coming from you. But tell us more about it, though, because I know it's your life story. What can we share more, like, without telling the story? Because people got to go and read the book and go and watch the movie and do all that stuff. But what can we share with our listeners? What is it all about?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. I mean, first of all, it's not my whole life story, because I plan to live much, much longer. I've got lots of things to do. But I think, end of the day, right? Yes, knock on wood, right? Health is important. End of the day, the documentary is about the ability to take hardship, to take pain, and actually use it as your fuel to propel you forward. So, you know, often we hear stories like when you've gone through something difficult in life, you know, it's going to take you down, or we feel like we can't rise back above it. But there's a certain mentality, and I'm not going to say type of people because I don't think that's fair and I don't think it's true. I think there's a certain mentality that when we understand it, we can use when we go through difficulty that allows us actually to catapult ourselves forward. And when I say catapult forward, I don't mean, you know, to be a billionaire or to have everyone know your name. I mean, catapult you forward so you can live the life you were meant to do. You can do the things that were important to you. You know, you can live the purpose that I feel is at all of our cores. And we all have different purposes. So I've always been really curious and motivated by people who leverage difficulty to get ahead and do amazing things for the world with it. Like I have this belief, David, and I've been talking about it a lot lately because I feel like it's a world changer that people understand it. It's like, if you can take anything difficult that happens to you and say, because this happened, I am going to turn this into something that is 100, 200, 500 times more positive and powerful, not just myself, but in service to the world. If you can do that, no one can touch you. It's an inside game. Like, they can't touch you. And I feel like if I can influence that mindset in the world and I can be blessed enough to have the impact to do that, I'll be able to live my life's work. So sharing the story was to walk with people, honestly, David. It's like, I don't want to be above people on a stage. I want them to feel like I'm walking with them because I know what it feels like. And so do you. And so does every human, to have difficult times and just feel like nobody got them or no one talked about it, or wait, I don't know, other people are having these struggles. Well, we are, right? We're all humans. Like, I don't want to have any secrets. And I think the documentary is part of that.
You know, I couldn't agree more with that. You're bang on. Like I had that conversation with a couple of my coaching clients this morning. It's been a running theme, and it's interesting that we bring that up that way. You know, taking hardships and then the stuff that really brings us down. And I mean, I made the comment today, and I know, like, one of my clients, just the reaction he had, it was just genuine. I'm like, you know, it could be the smallest, stupidest thing, and all of a sudden everything goes upside down. And he's like, oh my God, no, right? And like, you could tell without even speaking about a specific, that the smallest little thing or any type of hardship, it could be something incredibly major. Anything could throw the mindset off. And then it's all of a sudden we talk about production. It's like, well, how do you get back to being productive? How do you get yourself to that next level of where you ultimately want to go? Right. And I know, like, Kathleen, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I said it yesterday on stage. You know, we talk about mental health for like one day a year because it's been publicized by a big brand. And that's where everybody's like, oh my God, let's talk about it and hashtag about it and everything else. Well, like, real about this. 365 days a year, there are people struggling with mental health. And how do they get up and out of where they are? How do they get to their next level? And again, all of us being there, you just said it. You think to yourself, you're like, in that moment, it doesn't feel like you can get up and out. It's a tough one for people.
It is. So, and that's, oh, go ahead. I was just going to say that's no. Mentality, not people. Because I think, you know, some things we need extra support on. And I'm a big believer, when you can't go forward on your own, you're not meant to. Our health is community based. It's not individual based. We need communities around us for performance. We need them for health. We need them for child rearing. We need them to make the world a better place, right? It's a community based space, David. So yeah, I hear that 100%. We need people around us, and sometimes we need support. Absolutely.
Well, see, it's interesting you bring that one up too. I was having that convo too with somebody about, like, we need people. Whether you want to be away from people, you're completely introverted, and you think, like, I don't need anybody. You do. You need some food. You need some hydro. You need, you know, running water. So you need other people to do things. And we'll get into that concept of team in just a little bit. But the idea there, right, becomes like, we do need other people. And so at some point, there's got to be some sort of reliance or some sort of cohesiveness. But, you know, staying on this topic here and looking at, like, kind of coming out of a difficult spot, hardship, you know, understanding the story. You did grow up with hardship. You shared that. What caused you or led you to become this, like, powerfully strong individual that you are today? And I know that's a completely loaded question, but as we talk about, again, difficulty and going, hey, you just said, like, we can get here, and I agree with you. There's
Yeah.
that space in between.
Sure. And it's like always our scars either hide our secrets or they hide our superpowers, right? Like when we expose them, they hide our superpowers. And what led me there was wanting a different life. But I think there's different evolutions of things. Like I'm a big believer as a leader now. I have the privilege of saying, hey, I always say I don't have to play in broken houses and I don't have to build museums. Like I don't have to do that. As leaders, once we build enough resources, we have the privilege and the responsibility to build a better future forward. But like a lot of people listening to this, I mean, when I first wanted to, become strong and get out of hardship, I wanted a stable roof over my head. I wanted security. When I came into that fork in the road with real estate, like a lot of people listening, I had that choice. Do I go back to safety and security in the present time, but not so much in the long run because there isn't that growth trajectory? We all know what that feels like. Or do I bet on myself, take more risk, invest in myself? And that's what I did when I went through my separation in real estate. But, it would be easy to say to you, I wanted to be a top 1%, in the world's largest real estate board in my first year. Yes, that did end up to happen, but that wasn't my goal. My goal was I've got 2 little kids, right? I've got bills to pay. I've got mouths to feed. Like these children need a secure life and I need to be able to provide for them and feel safe. Like it was in need and want for resources and not to feel like I was at detriment, with trying to set my life up in a healthy way. Like initially, that's what it was all about. But then that mentality of I am going to give myself permission to show up at my best. I don't care what other people say, which was loved or hated, but I know my destination. My destination is to be secure with my children. And once I get that, my destination is to continue to grow, to have resources to do more and more and more so that one day I could help make things better for other people, right? So I don't think we initially kind of say, hey, I left home or I was kicked out very young, like starting probably under 15, but at 15, but I learned a lot from it. I mean, now I can say I'm very blessed to have had those experiences. Like it sounds weird, David, but I'm a firm believer, like I hope one day in your life, you have to ask people for money because you're stuck somewhere and you can't get on a bus or a subway and you don't know where you're going to sleep that night. And that sounds weird, but I hope you do, to have empathy that good people end up in hard times. And it's about how we stand up and get out of them that matters. And that character trait sets us for life, right?
I have to say, I hope I don't. I hope I am not in a position after all the hard work and effort to need to ask for that. But I do understand where you're going with that. It's being able to get down to that level and be at that level with people, in the present, to say, I get it. Like I understand that there's always going to be hardship. There's always going to be some sort of path that I got to take that's, that's going to give me a mountain to climb. Right.
Well, we're always one decision from going up, but I think what we don't realize is sometimes we're one decision from going down. Like David, you could be on one of your motorcycle treks across Canada and the bike, God forbid, we're not going to say an accident. It's not that. Something happened with the bike, your card isn't working, that's with you. And you're like, I don't have anything. My cell phone broke when I tried to pull over because the bike was malfunctioning. And now, like, how humbling is it to be like, I need to ask other people for help? Like, I just think we learn so much as leaders when we can be led and we can lead other people. Like we always need both sides of the coin. And I don't want you not to have the resources, David, and you're already humble. I'm just giving an example, just so you know.
No, and I'm with you. But I and again, I agree with you completely on this. Like it's that being humble enough to be able to ask, no matter the level of success that you've achieved, to stay grounded, right? And you're absolutely right. Life is about choices, right? And we have a choice. We can either go up or we can go down, or we can stay in the exact same place, right? It is about choices. And to that, as we talk about choices, right? Because it's really easy. It's easy for us to sit here and say, I was in this place. I recognized I needed to do. It's very hard to actually do. What's the step there? Like if I said to you, Kathleen, back then, when you found yourself in that space of hardship, mindset wise, you were not in a place that, maybe was the strongest that you would be.
Sure.
You made a decision. And instead of just thinking about it, you actually chose to do it. I mean, if I said to you, what pushed you over the edge? Would it just be, hey, I need to do this? Because I mean, again, I will wake up in the morning and say I need to do it and still not do it. We all will.
Sure.
How do you in the morning go, today is the day?
It's interesting because I've had this conversation with many people in different sectors. Like I've had this conversation with people who support women in women's shelters. I've had this conversation with brokers and owners. I've had it with team leaders, right? And we all have a very different perspective of it. But I mean, I think this is where we need community again, because sometimes the most important times for us to act, our intuition is actually saying, no, not yet. Like wait until you get security, wait until you make more money, wait until you have the team. We don't get what we want by waiting. We get there by building it now, right? So it's this idea of our inner self are saying, no, like wait until it's safe. The most safe thing you can do is build what you want into creation. So for me, it was some difficult moments where I was in a victim mindset 100% when I was young. You know, I had a chip on my shoulder and I maybe I had good reason, maybe I didn't, but I wasn't in a good mentality. And I think in my mind, it was like, okay, I'm a victim of these circumstances. You know, I want to be a victor. Like I want to be able to be powerful and have resources. So there was a part of me in that evolution that said, I can't live this way anymore. You know, I don't have a home to go back to. I have to make different choices. And it was where someone in the community said, hey, if you stay here with us, we can get you resources. Are you going to run and go back to doing what you've been doing? Or are you going to stand and actually make changes? And I had the realization that if I continued to do life the way I was doing it, even at a young age, I was not going anywhere good. It was going to be something that I probably could not sustain. But I think the interesting thing is you go from this idea of victim of, you know, somebody else has power or control over me, whether it's the government or bureaucracy or lawyers or money or your family, like it could be anything, right? To a point where you think, okay, like I've risen above this. I'm the victor now. I'm the hero. And I think this is part of the difficulty in our sales environment and in our communities, because somebody can have power over you. You can have power over somebody else. They're both equally unhealthy. But we can move to a place where we actually say, wait a minute, who am I? What do I believe in? What do I stand for? And what if I focus on what's most important to me, despite what the people around me are doing, and I take action in alignment with my values? Now I'm making myself strong so that I can empower other people, not have power over them, but empower them. So it's like you move from this victim to victor to like the Sherpa, the sage, the leader, you know, the industry icon, because industry icons aren't all about themselves. They're about shifts, right? So I think for me, it was the realization that the most dangerous thing I could do is try to wait for, pardon me, try to wait for the world to give me better circumstances, right? Like some of us are saying, well, the real estate market's so up and down. You know, one day, pardon me, my goodness, one day we're having a good day, like the next day we have the interest rate announcements, or we have a client who's not going to buy with us. And I'm constantly saying, if you wait for the outer world to give you motivation, to have the mentality you need to have to be successful in this industry, you are going to burn out again and again and again. It's going to that internal place of saying, I'm going to take action to create the outer world that I want to have, and I'm going to be able to have shelter in that space, right? So we can't rely on motivation from the outside. We can only be consistent on the inside. So it's to me very, very connected. Like people come from toxicity, trauma, power, sales, like how you do one thing is how you do everything. It's not personal, it's not business, it's humans, right? Like this is how we do life, and we can do life differently. I know it's a long answer, David. I'm sorry. We
no,
can
no,
do
no, no,
life
no. It's a great answer, and I love it, because again, it's the choice, and it's not looking for the motivation outside. It's about being the motivation inside, and it's about motivating yourself to get there. Right now, you had made a mention of something there, and you know, you just said shift, but shifting perspective is challenging. We've talked about this. It's a very challenging task. You've obviously figured out the secret to doing it. But what's the secret that successful people don't want to talk about?
That's a big one. So, you know,
we're going to condense it.
yeah, we're going to condense it. Yeah, I promise we're going to condense it. But it is a big one, right? So long story short, you know, I talked about that fork in the road, and obviously we know I'm here. I went into real estate and into coaching, and that's, you know, never look back kind of thing. But I noticed when I got to that place and I kept telling myself, you know, if you work harder, you make more money, life's going to get easier. Work harder, make more money, you're more successful, life's going to get easier. And I started to realize with my clients, because I mean, my first clients were top team leaders across Canada. Like these weren't new agents. Like I've been working with top 1% since the beginning. And now I was in this position where it's like, you're a coach. You're responsible for the success or helping the success of other people, whether it's like efficiency, it's money, it's personal dynamics, it's mindset, it's family. Like in coaching, you're in very intimate space with people, right? And I started to realize that they had a secret I had too way back then. And that was that the more successful we got from the outside, people are like, oh, look how well you're doing. Look how well you're doing. And you're making more money. The less successful we felt because we just still couldn't do it all. Like there was this idea of hire someone else and leverage and have systems. But the way we were doing it was still from this place where we had to be this core in our business. And even now, 99% of the people I work with, they don't want to talk about it, but it's 100% how they feel, because on the outside, they're supposed to have it all. They are successful, but really they're not making the changes. They don't know how yet to make the changes in their business to move from chaotic success to calm success. And people don't want to talk about this, right? Like in the mastermind rooms, nobody wants to talk about like, why is it getting harder the more my business grows and the more money I make? And why do more people need me all day long, all the time? And when you shift out of that, that's where you get somewhere really great. But that's for the brave business leaders who are like, I'm not sacrificing a little taste of calm for where I really want to go in this life. But most people, a lot of people, I hope no one listening to this will get that little taste of calm and be like, oh, I just want to stay here. It's like, you got to be brave and go for that big next destination. Like that's where it's at.
So am I hearing it right that we're saying these people that achieve a level of success, that others see that level of success, they're still struggling, but now they close out even more to say, I'm not going to tell anybody about that. I don't want people to see that. What are people going to think about me? That's going to bring me down. So instead, I'm going to stay where I'm at. I'm going to stay focused on working hard, but I'm really still stressing out about a lot of stuff. That's the stuff people don't want to talk about because they feel it's going to bring them down. Yet what we're saying here is that if they do talk about it, they're actually going to learn, they're going to be able to get better and start to take themselves out and to that next level.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Love
you break open to break through, right? Like the stuff we resist the most hurts the most. Whereas every time I've broken open and thought, wow, like maybe I'm finally losing, you know, I just let myself like, this isn't working. It has to change. Now I'm like, all these problems are the universe, the world, the industry, whatever word you want to use, your clients, they're trying to get your attention to say, there's a better way to do this. So what you want to do in calm leadership is talk about it as quickly as possible. It's like, I need this, this, and this. This isn't working in my business, and I need the best expert for it as quickly as possible. Whereas when we're in like the masses of the real estate industry or any sales industry, it's more like we've got it all figured out, right? Like I already know all this stuff. The strong leaders like, no, like I need help in these areas, and it's not a thing. You can't know everything and be everything. Nobody can.
What a message right there. I absolutely love the takeaway from that. And I just, again, for everybody tuned in, understand, drop your guard, get rid of the facade, let the ego go. The more open you are to sharing and learning, the more you're going to grow and the faster it's going to happen. Because you're absolutely right. This industry, and I said it in a video recently, and I actually played that one yesterday at the event. We think people care. They don't care. People care about themselves, you know, and as much as we do need to be out there and care about others, when it comes to that facade, I think people are more concerned about their facade more than other people are concerned about their facade. Right. Now it also takes a very strong belief system. Obviously, like you've got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in your systems. You got to believe in your processes. And Kathleen, you know, you certainly seem to believe in yourself in a great way. And of course, for good reason. So I'm curious, what types of things do you do day in and day out to keep yourself strong, to keep yourself motivated, to keep yourself positive? What can people learn from today that they might be able to apply to their day-to-day go and hold, I see her, she's successful, she's running a great business. I want to be there, or I would like to be like that. I would like to do something similar. What can I do?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I think first it is an evolution, and you know what you need as you're starting to build your career, let alone your business, is very different than when you start expanding, than when you're, you know, a team or a business or an organization. I think it's really different. But you know, first you have to build your energy, right? And I always say, I mean, for women watching this, you know, we get a lot of advice from our male leaders who have helped me a lot. I'm very thankful. But some of that advice, like we have different hormones, we have different patterns in life, and some of it can be exhausting. So I think for the women listening, like, do I go to 6 a.m. yoga? Yeah. But when I get tired, do I rest? Yes, yes, I rest. And I think it's being in tune with ourselves. When I was building my business, I was very always focused on where I'm still building it, but where we were going. Now I finally at this point, I'm at the point to say like, oh, if I'm kind of hesitating to do something, I don't force myself as much. And that's kind of a nice place. Like for those team leaders who have leverage and you have big teams, you're at the point where you can say, hey, where's my joy and passion in this? Because you're going to show up better. You're going to light up better. Your energy is going to stay better. People are going to resonate with you more when you're passionate. You love what you're doing. Like I fully believe I was born to do this. I fully believe I have a purpose in life. I take that very, very seriously. So when I have to get back to being tired, it's like, well, what's it all about? What's the most important thing? And I think mentally, I mean, I call it the raft builders. It's part of my latest keynote talk. And to me, the raft builders are the most important people in the world right now, because the raft builders are the ones who are so focused on what they can influence, what they can do. They're focused on solutions, right? Think about that. How many conversations do we have in a day with somebody who's not willing to talk about what's in front of them, let alone show up at the table and talk about solutions? We can't go anywhere in those scenarios. We're either influencing people to solution, which means we're thinking about solution first, or we're in a scenario where we're not going to be able to move forward. So the raft builders are constantly saying, what goodwill can I put into the market, into my community, into my family? What can I actually make a difference with today? And every time they put that goodwill in, they're creating what I call a raft, right? Another piece of twine, another piece of wood, because they are very special people mentally, and anyone can be a raft builder. Okay. This is a behavioral trait. A raft builder is saying, where am I going? They are trying to build the future into creation in a way that's of service for themselves and other people. And if you can take that mentality and say, listen, 99.999% of everything around me could be dark and gloomy and negative right now, and I'm going to find that 0.0001% that's light, even if it's only in my own head and no one else can see it. The more you act on that, you create power, you create confidence. And the more you create power and confidence, you put energy towards those things. Something good happens, it leads you to another opportunity, another opportunity, another opportunity. The raft builders are hyper focused on what they're building and where they're going, and learning from the things that don't go well, right? So I have a mentality since I was young. I don't think about it as much anymore, David, but I always said, I'm built to win. So when I felt really down and I'm like, you know what, maybe you need to give up. Maybe you pushed it too far this time, which many times I've thought maybe I did, right? Push the limit. And it's like, no, you're built to win. Like, how can I easily make this better? How am I so easily getting back on track? How am I so easily getting these things done? Who do I know who has like a genius in this area that together we could do something amazing? When you can step into that type of mentality, again, you're untouchable. And that's you're relatively untouchable mentally, right? And that's a beautiful thing to go for. There's so many, David, but like, I feel like those are most helpful.
I was going to ask you about the raft builder. I was going to ask you, like, what is it, which you just defined, and why are they thriving right now? And I think that from what I'm taking away is that there's an aspect of almost cohesion, reciprocity, being together, a togetherness with other people, and almost looking at that and not having, I don't know if selfish, like not being selfish is the right way to say it, but maybe it is that idea of wanting there for other people. I mean, I'm with you. The more I think about, what we do and how we do and where we're at and who I am, and I look back on my days and I think about, what I do and how we do for a living, which involves a lot of talking, and helping other people. And I yes. Okay. Haha. Insert joke. Funny. Dave talks a lot. But the more we do that, though, we realize we are helping people, and we are seeing, the wins that they're having, and those, you're getting to experience it not only because they've shared it with you, but because you're just watching it. There's something incredible about that. And Kathleen, you, myself, I know through our journey and our experience that we're currently on, and we're certainly not, at the end of it in any way. We know we've helped others, and we know we get to take a role in that. And it's a very important role. And I now truly believe, and again, this is something that hit me, some time ago, but that belief system around being there for others, trying to help others, doing good for others. And I know it may sound very cliche to some people right now, but that belief system about getting up in the morning and thinking to yourself, listen, do not be on a one-track mind. Do not think it's your way or the highway. Do not think that you're don't stink, right? Like, really understand that you will grow more when you find ways to help other people. And again, I love the way you coined the term raft builder. I completely understand it. I would hope that everybody tuned in gets what Kathleen's saying with that right now. It's a big part of it, right? Like I've leveraged like that terminology of like the campfire, right? Be the campfire. Everybody likes to be be around one. It's warm, it's cozy, it's security. You know, there's a lot to, parallels we could put to that, from ancient times to today. Like what does a fire really mean? To all of that. It's if you can be that person for others, that's where you grow. Yet why is it that others think that it's like such a waste of time to go and do that stuff?
That's a good question. I mean, it is where we grow, right? Like I think about, David, like I like to go on adventures, right? And this is the 4th August where I take 4 to 6 weeks off, like just in the summer, because it got to the point where it was like, if I can't go on these adventures, A, I can't grow to the extent I need to grow my business, because we grow first. But B, it gets to a point where it's like, is it worth it, right? Like there's so much that goes into like rapid expansion in businesses and projects and books and all that kind of stuff. And, it was interesting to watch, like hiking up Mount Kilimanjaro. Like we started summit night at midnight. So it was pitch black, except for, of course, I went during the full moon because alignment's important to me. So we did that. But, like you start at 15,400 feet to go up to summit. And
how did you get there to 50? How did you get to that 15,000 feet?
Oh, I hiked. I hiked for 8 days to get to that point.
To get to there.
To get to there. And so I hiked from this bottom. Sorry, thank you. I did not get dropped off on a bus. No, I hiked.
Just the helicopter, private chaperone.
Yeah.
Here, Kathleen.
Yeah. No. Like you're hiking.
You got about a half-hour walk up to the top.
No, like you hike up to sleep low. So you're tricking your mind to acclimatize to the high altitude, because altitude sickness is a really serious thing. And it's interesting when you think about performance, right? Because you're up at 15,000 feet where people pass out at that. It's where the plane is, but it's just like ramping up your business, right? You have all this energy to get up, but once you get up there and you're adjusted, it starts to feel normal. But the interesting thing was, on summit night, like you're going up switchbacks because it's very, very steep. It's like back and forth. And it's minus 25 before wind chill. And you're in Africa, which should be warm, but it was not. And you're freezing, and you're going up from just over 15,300 feet to around 19,400 feet just that night. So, as you go up, it was interesting because there is a tribal element that's evolved, but it's still tribal, where you're with other people and they're feeling strong the moments you feel weak, and you feeling strong the moments they feel weak. You get immensely more accomplished than we could ever even think we could ever do on our own, right? And that's part of the raft builder mentality. Like as you see people who are, sick, or their Sherpas are like pushing them and they're not well, and they're walking up, you watch other teams also with leaders who aren't equipped, who haven't built their processes, who don't have oxygen in their tanks or don't have oxygen tanks. And I think at the end of the day, David, like when you want to do big work, like the campfire analogy, or for me, the raft builder, it's everything. Like we can't do powerful or important legacy work without others, let alone in the real estate industry. We can't do basic work and be elite performers without others. We just can't, right? It's everything. So it was really interesting as we saw people sick, David, our team would start to chant. And it reminded me of Tony Robbins when you do the fire walk and you're chanting and you're just mesmerized. Like you're not in your normal conscious mind. Like you are in a different, like subconscious space, and you walk across and do something that if you were logically thinking, you would never accomplish. So it's really powerful, the analogy. And I think showing up like that for yourself and other people, it's just everything.
I think you just hit it right on the head there. When you're with other people and you're struggling and they start to bring you up, and then you're up and they're struggling and you start to lift them up, and well, hey, everybody, I guess, made it to the top.
Our entire group of 10 hikers, we made it. We were between the 2nd and 3rd summit when the sun came up between 6:30 and 7 a.m. So we had already been hiking 7 hours. And then we hiked down. You go down 7,000 feet that same morning day, and then the next day 7,000 more. But we found out the group 2 weeks before, 4 of them had to have oxygen, you know, they were unwell. The ones who got to the summit got there at 1 p.m. And there were a lot of people who had to come down, right? They didn't have the leadership who was there to support them, and they weren't well. I mean, my if you're, you know, in business, like checking in and mentality right now with clients, right, in this market, like we're doing a health check morning, night, morning, night. At one point, it was clear that the altitude was affecting, and I had some swelling probably on my brain, which can be dangerous. And then it moved into a cough right away. Antibiotics, I'm taking steroids. It wasn't, you can't summit. It's, we're monitoring you. So we know you are safe to summit, even though your brain might be telling you otherwise not to do it. Yeah, it's interesting, right?
Real quickly on this, you said it took 8 days to go 14,000 feet, and then on one day you did 5,000 feet. Did I hear that right?
No, well, almost. Yeah, it took 8 days, like, because we hiked still the day that we went to sleep and woke up and went at midnight again, right? Like, you don't have that day off, just to clarify. So that's interesting. But we hiked up to 15,300 feet. And then that night we went from the 15,300 to 19,300 because it's very steep going up. Yeah. And then down 7,000 feet that day. Yeah. It is wild. That's a good word for it.
I got to learn more from you about this one, but listen, a big congratulations. That's just, that on its own is an amazing, amazing accomplishment. So very, very big congratulations to you. And of course, the entire team that was with you on that one.
Thank you, David. If anybody watching it wants to do it, message me, because I'm telling you, who you go with matters. And I'm happy to give advice on Kilimanjaro, and then we can shift off that.
Well, it certainly sounds like it matters when you guys had air tanks and they didn't. So, but hey, we, you know, working with a lot of different people, and as we're talking a lot about people and helping ourselves and helping others, you know, we again, both of us try to work to help people get to their next level every single day. And I would imagine one of the biggest things that, you know, and I would imagine you agree when I say this, but one of the biggest tasks is to help people create better systems, better processes. And the question here is, if people want to grow, okay, is this more of a mindset focus? Is it a system focus? Is it both? And if you do say both, what is that magic ratio to scale, and why does it need to continue to, you know, change or adapt as we grow?
Yeah, I love this question for a couple of reasons. One, because it's so important, David. Like, you and I both know how important this is. Two, this isn't a plug, but genuinely, I'm talking about this a lot at Ultimate Team Summit, because you have to know where you're at in the journey, right? When you're a solopreneur, you don't go from being a solopreneur to a teampreneur. There's a middle ground where you're in an expansion phase. And depending where you're at in that journey, it's a different ratio of mindset to systems. Why? For one obvious reason, all of a sudden, you know, when you're in a teampreneur, you have a team, like you have multiple other people working with you. So you need, we can think about it that we have, you know, let's say 20 overall team members. Maybe you have 10, you have 5. Great. Think about how many potential errors or issues or complaints or slip ups could happen the more your team grows. You can have the best mindset in the world as a leader, but as you grow your team, expand it or scale it, whether it's you double it, triple it from yourself, it's not the point. You have exponentially more complexity in your business. So you need systems and tools that speak to each other and that support your team members to deliver the service and values that you're known for. That's very, very important. So, you know, as leaders, when we're first building our business solopreneur, our mindset is, in my opinion, much more important than the processes and systems, because we need to see the industry in a certain way to operate in a way that will allow us to be successful enough to even expand. The majority of people stay in that solopreneur mindset. And often there's that ego component of like, I am the business, which there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to scale and grow, that will hold you back. And I've seen great leaders resist putting the foundation before they built their house or their triplex or their condo building, whatever it is. And they have struggled for years and years and said, I don't understand. I've seen other leaders go, okay, I'm going to trust a mentor, put the key systems in place and just fly right through it, not even realizing that they had the key ingredients that would help them build. So it's, you know, mentality when you're growing is really important, but it shifts. It shifts from more mindset when you're solopreneur to more of a mix when you're expanding, to shifting the other way when you're in the team space, because your systems are systems will outperform willpower. The human willpower fascinates me. It can bend the world, it can bend time. But if you're a single person and you're up against a team that is system driven and organized and how they deal with everyday problems and service levels and how they just do business, you can't compete with that, right? You can't. On the other hand, you can be an amazing individual and a team without systems and processes. Yeah, you can probably compete with it all day long, right?
Well, you're absolutely right. The right mindset can bend the world. I mean, when people think back to or think to themselves, I can't do it. I can't, like, it's not possible. Or I don't know how, or it's a struggle, or it's frustrating, or whatnot. I like to just remind everybody that, human beings have been to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And so willpower is an incredible thing. And when we look back at how long ago human beings have been to the moon, it does beg the question how we've never been back yet. That being said, it's been done. Supposedly. So here's the next thing, though. You keep talking about team. And I remember asking you this, years ago, or somehow it came up in a previous podcast because we've done several of these together before.
Yeah.
For everybody here, can you please take a moment and just define what you mean by team? Because again, when you said it to me once time before, made total sense. I completely get it. It's never left my mind. And I think it's a great analogy for it. And I think it'll clarify for a lot of people what that means. Because there's a lot of people that go, and look, let me set the stage too. I do believe that that real estate's an individual sport. I do believe that if I'm going to hire you as a real estate agent, I kind of want you, an ability to talk to you. I want to know that I have that line to you. But as we keep talking about today, especially on this episode, the reality is, there's a lot of people that you need, even if it's you that talks to the client. There's a lot of people you need behind you to help make things happen. So, is it isolated to having a buyer rep, having a listing rep, having a specialist here or there? Could this be something else? I'll let you run with that. You know where I'm going with it.
Yeah, and I think we all know what it's like. Like anyone here who's been like, oh, I had an accountant who was the best of the best, and then they got super busy and I couldn't get a hold of them. They didn't ask questions. They started to miss things. It's like it's this element of chaos that shifts things from something that we're really good at into something that's pulling us in so many directions. Like I had a lawyer once who was very solo show, David. And I mean, what a train wreck, right? Like he was super talented and great, but my goodness, like he's not organized. No one's telling me where to be. Like it's just a mess. Now I have an amazing lawyer who has an amazing assistant and operations manager, and I talk to her, right? And we are good. So, I mean, yeah, you want to work with the person, but I agree, David, like the person without a team in this market, let alone in this industry, it's really hard to deliver the same level. But, to me, when I look to help people develop a team, I mean, there's a couple of things we need. There's a leader or leaders. Everyone's a leader on the team, first of all. Like to have a strong team, I believe everyone needs to be in that conscious space where they're saying, hey, I have this team to help me have the path to be successful, and I help others too, but I have to walk the walk. Teams are not here to walk for me, right? And as leaders of teams, one of the most dangerous things we do is we try to spend a lot of time and energy on the people who aren't walking to help them to walk. And that's a big mistake. They've got to be walking with you. So all of a sudden you have, 80% of your team who are doing what they need to do. You're like, they're okay. These people are struggling. I'm going to put all my time and focus there. If they're not walking with you, we cannot impact other people. As much as you could be the best leader in the world, there are certain people you cannot impact. But somebody who is negative, toxic mindset, not willing to do they want you to build their raft. Remember the raft builder? They're like, you're the leader. You build my raft. Those people will take us down, and they will take our teams down, our performance down. So end of the day, what is a team? It's an interconnected group of individuals who each have a unique role or job description. And I like to say genius. They have gifts in what they do in the world. And we've aligned with those people because as leaders, we have strengths and we have weaknesses. So we align with people who are fantastic in the areas that we are weak and in areas that they're energized and they love what they are doing. So we have a similar goal that's bigger than any one of us, but we're all moving in that same direction. The other thing with a strong team is they're entrepreneurial. So what does that mean? If you have a marketing coordinator who you expect to do X, Y, Z, or maybe they're more of an expert in marketing and they think about it after hours. I always say you pay those people more. They are running a business within your business. Most teams get to the point where they're trying to carry people because they think that's caring. Carrying people is not caring, it's enablement, and it's the opposite of performance. Great leaders empower people to take responsibility and thrive at what they're doing, and they have a different facet of the business that they're responsible for. So the sales department, each one of those salespeople have their own business within the business, and they're responsible for it thriving. They're also responsible if their part of it is sinking. So I think in teams, sometimes we feel like we have to be like corporations and we have this employee mindset. That'll take you down really quickly. If you train people to have you say yes to everything, you're going to be, like I said, you're going to be that person who doesn't want to say that the more successful you get, the less successful you feel, right? Hiring somebody without systems, entrepreneurial mindset, and a shared common goal is like going into the lounge at the airport. Feels really good for an hour or two. Maybe you have a glass of wine, a sparkling water. It's cool in there. There's air conditioning. There's comfy chairs. You're still in the airport. Like, you're going to have to go out there and face that chaos, right? So the goal is to have that interconnected team where we're all really strong leaders, personally responsible, and we're walking together towards the same common vision. I don't know if that was the metaphor you were thinking of, David.
No. Listen, it was explained certainly differently than you've explained it in the past.
Yep.
However, again, you know, I'll break it right down to like what sat in the back of my mind, and I love what you just said. But it went well beyond just having like somebody on your team who does this or somebody who does that, or like building a real estate team where you have all these agents, but there might be agents out there that go, hey, I'm great at what I do, you know, on the front facing. Hey, scheduling, answering your emails, doing admin work, making sure that like the things get off, the follow-up happens that needs to happen. These are all, you know, fundamentals that need to happen in a business to run a business, period. Right. In order to have success and longevity and be able to create an experience for a client that they're going to come back and say, hey, you know what? You were awesome. I want to work with you again. And to me, it was that idea of, again, when you broke down team, you had said it to me in a way where you said, David, like it doesn't mean just having other agents. This is about everybody that's either in the foreground or the background with you. That's your team. Right. So I love that. Now, much the same, you know, you talk a lot about obviously the 1% life. It's been a running theme for KBCC and you know, your company and yourself for forever. What does top 1% mean to you? What is that mentality of a top 1%er? And I guess I would ask that and say, have we been covering that right now throughout this episode?
Yeah, we definitely have a bit, for sure. I mean, what is a top 1%er? A top one, like, to me, they're an adventurer. They're that brave soul. They're what I call a seeker, right? Like, I'm a seeker. I believe everyone I talk to, everyone I meet, everything that happens in my life is designed to make me better, to give me the lessons and tools that I'm going to need to be more of service to people in the future. I just believe that. So yes, I'm very esoteric, and that's just me. But end of the day, you know, the top 1%ers are adventurers in my definition, because they're brave enough to say, I don't need to hide behind like I need to make enough money or, you know, to be valuable or to be successful. They're brave enough to say, how do I feel successful? How do I feel happy? What type of a family member do I want to be? What type of a friend? What type of travel do I want to do? What role actually empowers me to do great work in this world? So a top 1%er is actually somebody who's saying, wait, my vision for the life I want to have, and my trust that the life I want to have is actually good, that it's not coming from a selfish place, that it's actually going to be good for me. It's going to be good for the world, right? If they're a person of personal development. What does that look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 2 years from now? These people are so powerful because they will build their businesses to create those lives. And then they will help other people within their businesses see what their most important top 1% life looks like, and what success is for them, and what they value. And all of a sudden, everybody is leveraging a different lifestyle and able to do bigger, more important work. We don't just sell real estate, right? We help people, we advocate for people, we help people when they're scared about making decisions, when they've lost a loved one, when someone's terminally ill, when there's been domestic abuse, when there's been a divorce, right? We help people when their children are in the hospital. It's not always this like straightforward, okay, I want to do a move up move, or I want another investment. Like, the way that we operate our businesses leads to how we empower our team members and how they empower and support people out there in the community. So the top 1%ers are coming from a place of purpose and vision. Raft builders are always visionaries, right? If this is really important, if you want a top 1% life, and I think you do, I truly think sometimes we don't give ourselves permission, but we all want one. If you do, You have to have the vision, take the time to go, what do I truly want? Without any judgment, without any comparison, what does it look like 5 years from now? And at that point, every single micro decision you make, every single business investment, every single word you use, every single choice you make in your life, you put it through that filter. Is this getting me closer to where I'm going 5 years from now? Now you're going to use your business as a vehicle to build your best life. Whereas most people have this backwards. They're using their whole energy and life and energetic livelihood to build the business. They build the business and then they're entrapped by it. If you build the business to get you where you really want to go at a higher scale, you will have a more successful business and you will feel happier as a human. This is something I've seen again and again and again. So absolutely, David, they're all raft builders because you can't expand your business with management. Management is about the present. That's great. That's powerful, but it's not taking you to a new destination. It's keeping you where you're at. You want management empowered by your vision. That's where you go big places. So yeah, top 1%, it's life is everything to me, right? It's a shift. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with that, it comes along with understanding what that destination is, understanding where you're trying to get to. Love the idea, the analogy of the filter, put that through the filter. I think too, that once you understand, what that destination is, what those goals are, what you want to achieve, where you want to be, who you want to be, how you want to be seen, all of that stuff, it's a matter of working towards that every single day.
Yeah.
And I'll sort of throw it out there to say, like, for people to achieve everything they want in life, and I mean, we could talk about an entire episode like just about that particular topic. That being said, I think we're covering a lot of that today, right? Like where I truly believe that if you want to achieve, the first thing you need to do is you need to understand where you're going, right? What is it that you're trying to achieve? How much of that are you trying to achieve? What kind of timeline do you want to achieve that in? And then what are the building blocks that you're going to put in place on a daily basis to work towards that?
Absolutely.
And that, I mean, again, that one's certainly loaded. Look at all this, and you said earlier, yeah.
I'm just going to ask you a question because I think people listening to this, it's like, this is that busy work in between, right? Like you said, I had to hike 8 days to do the summit part, which is the hardest part. That's the busy work in between. But like, how many times have people told you, David, you can't do it. It's not going to work. It's not done that way. It's going to be too hard. Like how many times do you think every time you have a new goal?
All the time.
Right?
But
we listen, right? Exactly. But I think that's the test. When you really want something and you're really committed, the people who get there, they're like, despite what happens, and maybe I got to change how I get there. Fine. Maybe I'm being stubborn and there's a better way, but it's like, I'm going to choose to say, I'm going to go anyway. And that's the test. It's like, if you're willing to go through and go, yeah, I get it. The world's going to test me. That's how I get the credentials to keep going. You have, again, that shift. And I know you've been there many times, and so have I. And that's why I asked you. I knew what your answer would be.
No, you're bang on, and we continue to grow. And I mean, I've used the analogy many times, like from many different places, including on the show. But I believe in life, it's that whole thing of like, here's where I want to go, right? So if I want to get up here, it's that whole idea of try it, fail, learn, try, fail, learn, and it's like this whole process of trying, failing, and learning. I'm actually going up. I'm not going down. And I mean, again, I bring the analogy of the first time we all tried to walk, talk, ride a bicycle, go swimming. We went through these processes of not having success, and through the, effort and the desire to get there, we've all learned to do. Well, you got to take that same analogy, as simple as maybe what I just said is, right? Where you go, yeah, but it's a natural human ability to do these things. Hey, listen, so is everything else you want in life, right? Again, I remind, we've been to the moon. So all these things are all possible. It's just a matter of, are you going to put in the effort to try it, accept where you fail, accept where you can learn, look for ways to get better, not be complacent, and continue to take yourself to that next level. Now, a moment ago, you had said it. You said you didn't, you I don't know how you worded it, no selfish plug, or I didn't want to plug it, but I'm going to help you do this. We've got another Ultimate Team Summit coming up, and I can say firsthand, because I've had the opportunity to be there, they are powerful, powerful events that you put on. Love the Ultimate Team Summit. Please take a moment, tell everybody, what can they expect? What are the dates? Where can they get the tickets to join you there?
Absolutely. So Ultimate Team Summit is back at the Fallsview Casino and Conference Center. So we're back in our kind of bigger home. Last year we had a COVID alternative, which was also great. So it is happening November 2nd to the 4th, and that's in Niagara Falls, the Canadian side, in case you're listening. And this year is really exciting. We have a VIP industry leaders kind of stream. So if you're an industry leader, you're an iconic brand, you're somebody who really is influential in your brand and your team, you're someone who's trying to have your energy high, so your vision's clear and you're expanding, we have a full stream just for you, where you'll be with other, you know, top industry leaders from around the world in real estate. And then we have 3 full days in our main room. We have breakout sessions for administrators, for sales agents on the team, for team leadership. We have masterminds. The 100 Deal Plus Mastermind will be back, and networking. People really want to be with other people. And I think this is a unique event because it's not just for teams. But that being said, 80% of those on the expansion or team level are 100 deal or more earners, either or producers, either on their own or with their team. Some are 500 Deal Plus, much more. So it's a very unique, humble sharing crowd of a very elite producers. So if you're looking to expand, definitely come out. We would love to see you there. You have a gold ticket or a VIP ticket option. And David was the MC of the mostest, but his business has grown. And I still cry every year when David can't be our MC, but his energy is there despite. We all wish we could afford David as an MC because he's so good. You're good at lots of things, David. You're just really, really good as an MC too.
I am super grateful for you, and honestly, like that's where it's important for me to make sure that everybody knows about this event. Guys, it's powerful. You know, check it out. Definitely, you know, if you got time, if you can make it over there, get out to Niagara Falls, whether it was on the Canadian or the American side. Seriously, go take part in the event. Kathleen is absolutely amazing. You've gotten, you know, for those of you that don't know her, you've got an awesome taste of who she is and where she comes from today. And I think that, you know, spending a few days on site in person, it's next level stuff. So I encourage everybody to join that. And I just wanted to take a moment to share that. Now, 2 final questions, maybe.
Okay.
1, how do you, Kathleen Black, know that it's been a successful day for you at the end of the day?
I've moved my priorities forward. So to be, in my opinion, because I deal with performance and mindset, to be a high performer, you have to be a hyper prioritizer, which means I never have a day where I get my full to-do list done. Haven't in 15 years, doubt I ever will unless I start knitting and I retire, which isn't really my goal. So to me, if I've moved forward my most important high priorities and I've delegated and leveraged what I need to do, and I've communicated with my team, then that's a successful day. Or I'm climbing a mountain, you know, one or the other. But yeah, as long as I've done that, we're good. Yeah.
Seems like we're climbing mountains every day, doesn't it?
Yeah. And hopefully we like it, because, you know, you get to amazing places, right? Yeah.
You certainly do. Tell me, final words, tips, something you can share for everybody out here to help them grow their business, help them get out there and improve their life. And well, hey, got to put it in there to build more Mindshare.
Yeah, a tip to build their life. I mean, I think it's, you know, learn from the best. We always say model the best, forget the rest. You know, when you're building, get around in proximity of people who are doing what you want to do. So often, you know, it's easy to take advice from people who are also struggling because we all want to help each other. I think if you want to have an edge, you need to learn your craft and constantly improve. I mean, I'm constantly coaching, constantly investing in personal development. I've personally invested hundreds of thousands into coaching and personal development, and I'll do more because I want to continue to grow and expand. So I'm not necessarily saying, hey, get coaching, although it works with a great coach 100%, but I'm saying invest in yourself. Nobody else is going to come up and be like, oh, you're the perfect person for this. Like, we have to choose ourselves and invest in ourselves and build where we want to go. It doesn't happen by accident, but to me, what else am I doing with my time? Like, I want to get better. I want to grow. I want to push the limit every day. And I think you can too, watching this, right? And you do that by getting better.
Inspiration. Kathleen, where can people find you? Where can they connect with you? Where can they connect with more about the Ultimate Team Summit? Share some info with us, please.
Yep, you can go to ittakes.team. That's our main website. You can buy Ultimate Team Summit tickets are on sale there. We're about to do a bunch of first wave speaker releases because there's always a lot going on there. So ittakes.team, and we're all over Instagram. You can put Kathleen Black Coaching or Kathleen Black, and Facebook. And we love when people follow us. I love sharing things, trying to help shift people, and that's just my passion. So if you're looking for some inspiration, just follow. It's free. Take it in. If it works for you, that would make me feel really, really happy. It touches my heart. So yeah, feel free. Follow us for sure.
Well, it makes me very happy that you had the time to join us today, and I want to say a very, very, very big thank you. As it's always a pleasure hanging out, talking with you, learning from you, sharing with you, and I thank you for the time that you've taken to add a ton of value to the Mindshare podcast today.
Thank you, David. I mean, I miss you with COVID. I used to see you more, and you and Jen, and yeah, David, like everyone here knows what a great guy you are and great energy and what you do with the industry. So kudos to you. It's my pleasure to be here.
You're the best. You're the best. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with you, Kathleen. Thank you very much. You're either watching us live, you're listening to this recording, you are on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify. Maybe you went to my website, mindshare101.com. And while you're there, I want to encourage you to download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle for Realtors. This is a 31-page ebook packed with a ton of tips and tricks. Plus, there's a ready-to-go 90-day social media content calendar for you to help you, of course, build more mindshare so that you get more market share. Also, if you want to talk about personalized one-to-one coaching, an in-person keynote event, maybe an ongoing virtual training series, just get in touch with my team. We will set up a free consultation call, learn more about what you're looking to achieve and how we will help you do exactly that. Also, please don't forget that our push to 100 is on. This is super, super easy. All you have to do is go to ratethispodcast.com/Mindshare 101. And of course, if you haven't, connect with me on Facebook at Mindshare 101 and on Instagram at David Greenspan 101. I want to thank Virginia Munden and the Buzz Conference for sponsoring today's episode. Be sure to visit their website, www.thebuzzconference.com. Make sure that you check them out on Instagram at the Buzz Conference. Keep tabs on all of the awesome events that they are always hosting, along with getting the latest copy of the Buzz Digital Magazine. I will put a plug in there too. You will find a lot about Kathleen in that magazine, and we like to put a whole bunch of content in there as well. So make sure you check that out. And of course, remember these two events. Number one, we've got the Buzz Top Leaders Under 35 Summit taking place on September 29th. Number two, we have Disruption, which is scheduled for January 12th, 2023. So be sure to head on over to www.thebuzzconference.com to get your tickets. And once again, I'll say also check out that Ultimate Team Summit. Of course, I also want to thank Kits Keep in Touch Systems for joining us today. You can learn more about Kits by going to my website, mindshare101.com, and clicking on marketing. This has been another episode of the Mindshare podcast. Thank you for tuning in.